Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to PlayStation 101. My name is Chris, and today, joining me, we have My name is Chris, and today, joining me, we have
Keelan.
Daniel.
and
And
Sam.
that's it.
And today we're going to be watching some Jamar Chase with you guys
What's up,
today.
guys? Sam here. My bad.
And today, we're going to be watching some Jamar Chase with you guys today. He is a wide receiver from Louisiana State University who did not play in 2020, I believe, because of the
Correct.
opt-out. So we are going to be watching 2019 tape with you guys today, which is the most recent tape that we have available, of course, because he opted out. With that being said, Keelan, we'll start with you. What do you know going in to this video about Jamar Chase? Do you have any thoughts on maybe what you've read or what you've seen or what you remember from last year when you played with Joe Burrow?
Well, Chris, he's a really good football player. He makes contested catches with ease. The 50-50 ball goes to more of an 80-20 ball, despite only being about 6 foot or 6'1", and he's he reminds me a lot of. Well, he reminds me of Kenny Golladay, but he's a better separator than Kenny Golladay. So I might look to change my my pro comparison after this evaluation.
That's why mine was Mike Evans, because he's like really good end zone threat, really good deep threat, and like really good at like separating despite his size compared to Golladay.
Nice.
Cool. Daniel, do you have any insight onto Jamar Chase and what you remember or know?
Yeah, I think that overall great functional strength, excellent at utilizing his body to place his body in between him and the defender, in between the ball and the defender. Really good at catching contested catches, but also an underrated separator. I feel like sometimes we can get caught up in like only viewing separation as just being like, ooh, look at that route he runs. But there's also other kinds of separation, like the ability to get physical with the defensive back and when it and get that extra couple yard or two of space to give your quarterback a solid target. And yeah, I just feel like Jamar Chase is really good. He's got good deep speed, and I think he'll be a very quality starting receiver in the NFL for a long time.
Sweet. So with that being said, we'll take a quick look here at Jamar Chase, and let's just have some fun and start with Alabama. Let's see what he can do against some pretty good SEC competition, which is one thing that we're going to see pretty consistently from him is that ability to go against some very high-level projected clips. Some ability to go up against some very high-level projected secondary defenders, I'll call them.
Obviously, this is last year, so he could be against a mixture of Trevon Diggs as well as Patrick Surtain. And he wears number 1 for anyone who doesn't know. And it says at the top of the screen.
Okay, a little bit of physicality. Okay, a little bit of a rub route. Oh, I was watching the wrong person. Vertical. Okay, nice hands. One thing that I do like that we see on this play is the ability to utilize the hands, that hand usage technique to maximize that separation. What we saw a lot with Devontae Smith, and again, Devontae Smith is a fantastic player, as we got to see a couple days ago. Well, actually, yesterday. With Chase, we're getting to see that ability to utilize those hands throughout the course of the ball. And Trey Diggs, very physical player, and Jamar Chase able to utilize those hands and then come down with the hands catch as well. So that's great to see him have that different dimension, that different style maximizing and creating space. Okay, definitely physical for sure, which I like. So pretty solid mentals. Or as our good friend Sam once said, the place where our mentals.
Oh, that was great.
Inside joke. Any thoughts on route running so far from anybody?
We haven't seen too much of really any routes except for the vertical routes, so it's hard. It's hard to form a real opinion.
Also, it seems like Burrow's had to run quite a bit in this game as well.
Yeah, this Alabama defensive line is ridiculous.
And also their coverage.
Yeah.
Because
Their entire
if you're
defense.
forcing Burrow to run, you're obviously covering these receivers. It's more so the point the guy was alluding to.
Fair enough.
And watch how long
he's,
Burrow holds the ball.
and he's having to throw it to the underneath the checkdowns.
And he's pretty cleanly. Okay, first read here, second read there. Obviously has chasing sight, and he has to come back off of it.
Yeah. It's hard to really tell on just broadcast film, but it's pretty easy. They're pressing him off the line, and this time he beat him.
That was nice, though. And this all goes back to the hand usage, right? So with Devontae Smith on the opposite side of this game, this year, we really got to see that footwork, the ability to utilize the feet in the lower half to get off the line, create that space, etc. With Jamar, we're getting to see the opposite of that. We're getting to see that physicality, that aggressiveness with the hand usage, and that's what leads to this incredible amount of space being created.
Yep.
And that throw is still behind him, but Jamar gives Joe Burrow the flexibility to be able to extend that window.
Just a shout out to Burrow there on a quick side note for escaping the pocket on the last play. That was crazy. Oh.
Ooh, okay, look at that. And yeah, we're really seeing these guys showing pressure or chasing. It does not seem to be working as they plan. Jamar definitely very physical, very aggressive with his release moves.
Yeah, they're forcing Burrow's having to run out a lot. It's concerning to me to see the real lack of route versatility.
Yep. Yeah, it's the first thing I
Compared
wrote down on my notes. For
compared to compared to Devonta, we saw him run a full tree in our evaluation yesterday. This has been primarily vertical routes with a couple of posts, but nothing really
vertical
telling me
stems is more so, I guess,
Right.
the appropriate term.
right.
Because he's not necessarily running just straight nines, but
Yeah.
which is honestly kind of funny because Alabama seems to be getting pretty good quick pressure on him. So
Yeah.
you would think if anything they would be doing the opposite and running these quicker, shallower routes. And the other thing they're doing too, and I don't remember if it was you or Daniel that mentioned this yesterday, Keelan. It might have been Daniel, but one of you guys brought up how they're able to use Devontae in any role on these plays, and it seems like how they're using Jamar, they're primarily using him as the pick guy.
Yeah, that was me who brought that up yesterday. But yeah, that's something I noticed. And even he's not an active blocker as much as
He
Devonta
is.
was.
I'm seeing the blocking ability.
It's there. It's just not on every play like we saw with Devonta, which
Is it? I haven't had
I
that show
mean,
from so far.
I noticed a couple of, but maybe I'll keep an eye out and see what happens in the remainder of the game.
Yeah, he tries to get the footwork release on that one. Yeah, Burrow does not look as good as he did. It's Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was elite the other 13 games of the season. 15 or 14. Yeah, they played 15 to 14 in the season. But even in Cincinnati, he looked borderline elite, so must have just been an off day.
Meanwhile, Clyde is killing it.
Yeah.
I do like how they are able to move him around at least.
Yeah,
like on this
I
play,
was just about to
in the
bring that
slot.
up. Yep.
So he has some alignment versatility. We're finally starting to adjust a little bit and get him on some of these shorter routes.
Yep.
Like that was nice.
Yep. So I don't think he can't run it. It's just the verticals probably worked against every other team, and Bama was shutting it down, and Ed Orgeron just couldn't adapt. And
Still Brady.
Joe Brady, was he the one? Yeah, I guess he was.
And Ensminger.
Also, I think it's worth knowing that he's probably LSU's best deep threat. And so if they want to have any hope of backing off the safeties and whatnot, Demar has to run a fair number of decoy, deeper routes in the game plan. At least from my point of view.
Yeah. I guess we saw quite a lot of successful short passes to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Justin Jefferson and the tight end that name's
Moss.
escaping me. No, a different Moss. Not that Zach Moss is the running back for the Bills.
Oh,
Thaddeus
Randy.
Moss.
oh. Obviously,
Randy's
Moss
son.
not. Yeah, you're right. It's that Moss.
Cool.
So, Sam, do you have any thoughts, or are you just kind of chilling?
That's okay.
Sorry, you go.
No, I was. Hey, you go ahead now, I guess.
I mean, like we did see. For one, I think it's interesting to note that he basically just kind of ran through a lot of Alabama jams. Alabama tried press coverage on him and put a lot of press coverage on him, and he just sort of ran through it and utilized his physicality and ability to use his hand, like Chris does, to get separation on occasion. I would have liked to have seen that just to see if there was any throws that Burrow was missing or not making down the field where he might have gotten separation. But from what I saw, I think that there's not really a ton to take from that game.
Yeah. I'll just say a quick thing. Obviously, it wasn't what I was expecting. I'm sure we'll get to see more of him as we watch the next couple of games of film, but it was quite underwhelming. Just he didn't really get too much separation. He did on a few plays. Burrow was kind of flustered, and a lot of throws were shallow, short routes. So I'm interested to see what happens in this game.
Oh man, that looked catchable.
I don't know about that. It got deflected. Good blocking.
Yeah, and the other thing, like I talked about with Devontae Smith too yesterday, is watching the motor with the blocking, right? His releasing his gut off. He doesn't seem to be lacking energy with that.
Yep. And
Wait, what was that? Was that a third down call? No. So yeah, this is okay. That wasn't exactly a great stem, but what you're going to see is a little bit of that diversity in release moves, which is kind of cool. You're going to see him utilize the footwork there, and unfortunately he's not able to win at the stem of the route. But he's doing a pretty nice job with that mixing in and varying is the proper word there. Those release moves to get off the line. So that's nice to see. We're getting to see, and of course you're seeing him beat different types of. Ooh, okay. You're getting to see him beat different types of corners. You're getting to see him beat different types of coverage. You're getting to see him win inside and out. You're getting to see all types of things that you need to see him do at the LOS at that point of the play, at the first phase, as I like to call it, of the play.
Yeah.
And you're also getting to see some of the hands, some of the catching ability. That you really need to see and want to see from the third phase of the play. Like, we're seeing hand catches, we're seeing his ability to come down with the football.
That was a nice route. Good hand usage.
Good contested
That
catching,
was
beating all these different types of coverages down the field.
that was a really good route there. Good rep in general. Just that. Yeah, that was just. Nice.
Great third phase of the play. Again, you're really seeing him finish these plays, which is great. The big thing for me still remains, what is he doing in that intermediate portion of the play? Because you get too physical, you get too aggressive, there's going to be some times where you're, in some cases, maybe called for OPI, where he wasn't
Right.
at LSU. And there's also going to be other times where, like, yeah, you're getting to see him play against press man and make plays like this one. You're not doing that versus Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
Like, the types of while we were talking about the different types of corners and his ability to win against different types of corners and coverages, and the fact that he is going against good college talent,
He's going against
Alabama,
a first round corner.
Yeah, Auburn and Alabama are both. Ooh, nice rack ability there. Auburn and Alabama both have pretty respectable corner rooms. Both have first round caliber corners, as you just mentioned. We're not getting to see him do these things against those Jalen. So there is some projection to it, because the physicality level of a Jalen Ramsey or whoever else it may be, Tre'Davious White, Marshawn Lattimore, Marlon Humphrey is another really good one. Regardless of what division you're in, you have those guys. Is a little bit different. So if he's not able to, not to be fair, that was a little bit defensive holding. But if he's not able to necessarily create and maximize versus collegiate talent, there's a little bit of projection there.
Yeah. I'm really torn because there's always a place for a guy like Jamar, but we're just really not seeing the consistent separation. I mean, yeah, he has the upside and he has the ability. He has terrific hand usage, but we're not seeing a very well-rounded route tree, and we're not seeing great separation. So,
And I don't know that necessarily every guy needs to be like Devonta Smith level separator.
No.
I mean, like, you look at a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. Like, DeAndre wins a lot of the same ways that we're seeing Jamar Chase win here. So, to me, like, it's not really a super big deal because he's still producing at a high level. And I still think that it's translatable, projectable because there's solid technique there and strong hands there and whatnot. So I would disagree there, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think you're
I'm
off on
100% with Daniel there.
I think that you're a little off on your Kenny comparison, because we're definitely seeing a lot of the reasons why. Okay, Kenny Galladay went in the third round in part because he was not doing the same things that Chase did against Matt Guns.
right.
Whereas Chase is doing the things that he is against SEC comp. So there's a clear prospect level talent disparity there. So I think that that's kind of underselling what we're seeing from Jamar. And the upside and potential and the ceiling for Chase is a lot higher than someone like Kenny. But yeah, you're definitely not taking him to fill the Chris Godwin role in your offense. You're taking him to fill the I don't even
Mike Evans
necessarily
role.
say I don't even want to necessarily say Mike Evans, because Mike Evans is a 6'5", 235-pound machine. You're almost taking him more to be like your Marvin Jones.
And the main reason I brought up the Kenny Galladay comp was more, in fact, I saw it going around on social media and thought it was interesting. I wasn't completely sold on. Oh my!
That's just not a good throw by Burrow. There was not really
Yeah.
a lot that Chase
Yeah.
was going to be able to do about that.
The my was more on Burrow than Chase. To be fair, I was so just disappointed by that
If
throw.
you're running a vertical stem, you got to put that over the top, not inside.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Okay, good cut. Okay, I like the ability to extend. Yeah, I really like his mentals. He's doing a really nice job of explaining the different. Well, I shouldn't necessarily say explaining, but varying his combinations against different corners.
Yeah.
Look at the nice blocking outfield.
Mm.
I wonder if he was a former corner, or if, like, he at some point, like in his high school or college career, played corner. because his understanding of press coverage is very high level.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure if he played corner at all in college or not. Or in high school, pardon me.
Also, really like to see this. A 3-point game. Auburn has no timeouts, and it's second down. So this game is
Mhm.
honestly over. Because if you say a 40-second play clock for a minute 20, that's 80 seconds for 2 plays. 80
Mhm.
seconds is a minute 20. So it's, in all honesty, it's game over. Auburn
Yeah.
is still running a play. And watch what Chase does. Still runs up to the blocker, climbs up, he stays centered. So you're really getting to see not just the finish of the play, but the finish in comparison to the game and the situation. And
Yeah.
the team first commitment that we talked about with Devontae Smith is there for him as well. So intangibles definitely not an issue for him in any way that I have been able to notice or identify so far. Daniel, can you confirm that?
Pardon?
Can you confirm that you're seeing the same thing intangible-wise that I am regarding Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
Keelan?
Yeah, I definitely see the motor. I like the motor. I like his, his variation of ways to attack different coverages is the best way I can put it. So I'm definitely one of his best traits, I would think, is his, his overall mental traits. So
Sam, if you're still here, any thoughts on Jamar's mental traits?
that's
Sam?
I mean, like, I think you guys covered it all.
Samuel, as in,
I guess he's not
he's
there.
gone.
Okay. Let me just make him on the right. They had Marshall on this team too, didn't they? Or was he a transfer?
No, they had him. Marshall, Jefferson, and obviously Chase. Yeah, this was a really. Yeah.
Oh my god.
This was a really stacked team.
The other thing that I'm liking that we're seeing from Chase so far too, just from a technical standpoint, is that he's also varying his route angles
Right.
pretty well, and that he's able. What are you doing, Joe? He's able to vary the sharpness of his cuts. We're able to see him with the round cut, the soft cut, and hard cut. So he has the ability to maximize variance in the style of cuts that he's able to utilize. It's just relatively unique amongst more physical receivers.
Yeah.
So it seems to be more of a playbook system issue. Is I guess kind of what I'm alluding to.
Right. Yeah, I can
Or a
see that.
utilization issue. Or a game planning issue. It's kind of hard to exactly pinpoint what specifically is going on. Whether it be
Right.
oh man, that was nice. Whether it be game planning, whether it be talent utilization, whether it be scheming, whether it be play calling.
But it's easy to have the cause for concern because obviously Joe Brady is one of the more up and coming coaches. He's got some NFL head coaching interviews, and so I wonder if it's a matter of them just utilizing other players more so because, of course, Jamar's a sophomore and stuff, or if they don't trust him to run a lot of routes. But I
I
mean,
don't know why
we've
they
still
wouldn't
seen
trust
him
him based on the skill that he's displaying is, I guess, more so the question. So
Fair.
is this an evaluation issue, I guess? I guess, oh man, hands. I guess the bigger issue is like, what is going on that would make them question their ability?
Right. Holy hell, whoever made that catch.
It's like we're seeing the physicality, the effort, the motor, the toughness with the blocking side. We're seeing his ability to maximizing various separation at the LOS with the release moves. We're seeing his ability to win down the field and in short yardage with vertical stems and quick routes. We're just not seeing that intermediate level.
It's really hard to evaluate a player and call him poor without having a sample size.
Exactly, especially when you're able to see the different things that he's able to do that
Right.
translate
Obviously, he's sorry.
That they're seeing the things that he would need to be able to do that would translate to that projection. Is I guess my biggest problem. Like
Right.
that's a good play. That's a 15-yard pass completion. And he's right in the middle of that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. He's right in the middle of this coverage. His hand usage. And he's good turkey hole throw by Burrow. But he's really maximizing that.
Yeah.
So it's easy to project him to do well in those areas. It's just a lot more of a projection than it is for some of these other players. So how much do you value the fact that, okay, he's displaying some of these skills that he would need to be able to showcase versus how much do you consider that, okay, we're projecting him to do well at this particular trigger, this particular role based on the skill set and the technique that he has. And that there may be a little bit lack of experience doing those things.
For his skill set, he shows a really good ability to for run after the catch and his his shiftiness.
Yeah, I haven't been taking as many notes as I probably should have during this, but his run after catch ability is definitely.
It's a lot better than I had expected. It's been a while since I watched Chase. It's been since the off season, so I was obviously misremembering things, as obviously he hasn't played this year, and I just did some summer scouting on him. But yeah, his rack ability is definitely a lot better than I remember, which is nice, especially for a guy who's really seen as that contested catch guy.
The thing that's interesting about his rack is it's a little bit different than Devontae, and that Devontae was
Yeah.
the guy who would try and go around you, whereas Chase has the ability to more so go break the tackle.
Right.
So with Smith, it was more about avoiding the tackle, whereas with Chase, more so tackle breaking. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Oh, you have him wide open. There you go. So they're winning in different ways.
Can we just go back just to that last play just for 1 second? I just want to rewatch that and get the play. All right, yeah, that was just a way too late of a throw.
I mean, obviously, it ended up working out.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah, at
but
this
I
point,
love
the
that
play
hand
is wide
usage.
open.
Right. That's good hand usage to get off the line. Obviously, number 4 was expecting the safety to be back there.
All right.
Okay, so
Right.
Daniel, we'll start with you on this one. Your thoughts on Ja'Marr Chase in the Texas game, the third game?
I mean, like, I think he's going to be a really good player. I think that he has rack ability. I think that he has ability to win contested catches. I think that he has the ability to go downfield and do surprisingly well at creating separation down there. Honestly, I think that if anything, I'd say that I'd like to see him with a bigger armed quarterback, more willing to make a downfield throws. Because I think that would be what maximizes him, as opposed to Joe Burrow, who likes to go underneath, and so he
Right.
gets used as decoy a lot rather than
Yep.
at for his full potential. I mean, like, he's
Right.
still incredibly productive, and I think that ultimately the lack of intermediate routes are not a lack of skill or ability to do so on his part, but rather just being typecast into a role in Joe Brady's system. And I mean, like, there's clearly lots of other very good receivers that are very talented on that team that can run intermediate routes. Like Josh Jefferson, for example,
Yep. Terrace Marshall.
who, by the way, Ja'Marr Chase kind of outproduced. So, like, to me, I think that he's just all around very strong prospect, easily in the same tier as Devonta Smith for me. Although I do have Smith ahead.
Yep.
Cool. So I'm going to go over just some of the things here. Solid wide receiver 1 as a role grade. Concerns, I don't think he's particularly undersized.
No. I think if we roll with if Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes decide we want to roll with Matthew Stafford for a few more years, have him be our franchise quarterback, I think this is the guy that we would probably look to, as this is a guy that I think type of player that Stafford prefers. Guys that can go up and catch those contested balls.
That gives me a good idea. Okay, so that's a very good idea. Okay, one thing I will say is I'm going to put playbook system as a potential issue that could arise because of the utilization factor that we talked about, and how much of that is gameplay, how much of that is system, how much of that is talent utilization. It's kind of hard to project what's exactly what. So because I'm
Right.
unsure, I'm going to put that as a concern grade for him. So next we move to player comparison. This is interesting because I'm really glad you said that about Matthew Stafford. That gave me a really good idea on my player comp. And it's been a long time since I watched him as a prospect. I want to say it's been about 10 years now. But one guy who really stands out to me as a comparison is someone who's going to be a free agent this offseason, by the way, in A.J. Green.
Yeah.
Just very similar style of players who aren't necessarily your Mike Evans type of 6'5", 230 plus pound monster men type contested catch guys. On the other hand, you're not exactly looking at your Steve Smith 5'8", 170 pound elite technician type of separators in the slot. You're looking at guys who are able to win in a variety of ways in that outside role, and
Also,
be
speaking
creators with their talent ability.
speaking of Steve Smith, apparently Daniel Jeremiah has that as his comp for Jamar Chase.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's enough for me.
Him and Anquan Bolden.
I like Bolden a lot more than I do Steve Smith. The difference is I think that Jamar Chase is a lot more athletic than Anquan Bolden was.
Yeah.
Is really where I diverge from that opinion. Very similar in the
Personally,
red
my
zone,
comp,
though. Both guys are definitely red zone threats. I would trust to make those possession catches.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Daniel?
personally, my comp remains DeAndre Hopkins. I think that he wins, so then lies the same way where you said DeAndre Hopkins wins with borderline OPI moves that aren't quite OPI. Really good hand usage. Really incredible contested catch artist downfield. And so for me, that's my comp.
Nice.
Cool.
So biggest strength is going to be versatility. Just his variance, whether that be release moves, whether that be where he aligns, whether that be the scheme versatility. I honestly could see him fighting a number of different schemes, whether that be vertical or West Coast. So I definitely like his ability to be a fit and kind of mold and develop him for whatever role that you want to utilize him in. I think that's going to be an asset to whatever team ends up taking him. Whereas biggest weakness, I think, is going to be experience. We'll go with that. I feel like that's a pretty fun word to utilize.
Especially since I'm pretty sure he's only a 1-year starter.
Yeah. And of course, opting out being a part of that as well. Not having played in 2020. That I think experience is a very casual word that we can use for that. With that said, I'm going to go with medium floor and high ceiling. Bust potential is going to be, we'll say 20%. I feel like it's pretty fair. Actually, I like 25% a little bit more, because he's probably going to end up going top 10. Games watched: Alabama 19, Auburn 19, and Texas 19. all pretty big schools. Coincidentally, 3 schools who have, well, 2 schools who fired head coaches, 3 schools who fired at least a coordinator. Cool, so now we get into grades here. I have hands at 24. We did get to see a drop or two along the way. So I'm going to go 24A 6.9. Running after catchability, also 24. Definitely pretty impressive there for someone of his size. And perceived skill set, he definitely was a little bit better in that area than I had been led to believe by some of the things that I have heard about him in so far. Technique is going to be the biggest drop for me and the biggest separator for Devontae Smith. And honestly, the only separator for Devontae Smith, we're looking back at my Devontae Smith grades, because I'm going to give him a 25A plus and 7.0 here. But technique for me is going to go down to a 22, which is a B, and 6.7. So that is a minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is still very, very good. 95, 500, and a solid A grade. So, one sentence summary for me would probably be versatility to mold and develop to fit whatever system your team runs. Okay, let's see. Oh, I guess not enough. There we go. That's better. Okay. So I figure out my NFL code grade. Oh, and here's of course going to be a blue tier, dark blue tier, as a 95 plus, which puts him in between Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle for me. Slightly above Waddle and slightly below Devontae Smith. So, you guys, I know that you guys have been kind of quiet when it comes to this, but do you guys have anything that you want to add?
Daniel can go first.
No, I think you covered it all.
Yeah, I give him a 93 personally, which is still an elite tier. I'm a bit lower in a couple of grades, but overall pretty similar to you. So, yeah, he's not a wide receiver too. I haven't really watched Waddle though.
So yeah, you can kind of see that the gap between him and some of these other receivers at the top. And I haven't watched all of these guys. I have like 20 guys I still have. So like 15 left on the list to watch. And there's the potential that one of these guys could impress, specifically the ones that are higher up. Obviously, Olave is going back to school. I haven't updated the full list, unfortunately, but there's the chance that one of these guys could end up moving himself in that tier. But I feel pretty comfortable with the order I have those top three. Smith is my wide receiver 1, Chase is my wide receiver 2, and Waddle is my wide receiver number 3. So do you guys have any objections to that in that order? With Smith, Chase, and then Waddle?
No, I think that'll end up being my order as well, personally.
It's already mine.
I haven't watched Waddle, like I said, but when it's all said and done, from what I've seen, I'm pretty confident in that order.
Daniel?
I said it's already mine. It's already my order.
Oh, okay. Cool. So I guess now that we've watched, well, at least I've watched all three of these guys, is there a preference that you guys have for which one you'd like to see in Detroit next year? Obviously, assuming that we go wide receiver in the first round, as is at this point projected.
I'd prefer Devonta.
Sorry, what was the question?
If the Lions were to draft a wide receiver in the first round this year, out of the top three guys, Smith, Chase, and Waddle, which one do you think is the best fit for the Lions system, and what we expect to see Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have interest in this year?
We really don't know what the system's going to be on offense yet, so I couldn't really make a statement, but I personally prefer Smith.
Well, I think Devonta's the best receiver for basically every possible system that we could possibly run. And I think when you look at the Rams during Brad Holmes' time there, I think you'll find that they really highly value a lot of traits that Devonta Smith has in spades. They really value quickness. They really value route running. They really value the ability to get north-south on the yak. So overall, Smith. Oh boy. Smith is a perfectly well placed fit into Brad Holmes' evaluation. Could I see us going with Jamar Chase just because I think his style play might be a little bit better of a fit for Stafford? Sure, but I think that overall Smith is just the better player.
Nice, yeah. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we handle the whole weight thing in terms of that durability risk with Devontae. Because that really was, to me, the biggest dash-only real question mark. Aside from, like, being nitpicky with the details. So I really think Devontae is one of those truly generational type of talents at wide receiver. And Jamar Chase is a very deserving top 10 pick. Really is what it comes down to. Obviously, he's 95, so he's very high on my scale, grade-wise. But it's going to be very kind of fun to watch and see where he ends up going. And honestly, I'd like to see him. Well, I'll end up talking about this first. This question I'll have for you guys too. But I'd like to see him in Philadelphia, and kind of being that number one go-to threat for whoever their quarterback ends up being at this point. Probably possibly Carson Wentz, based on the surrounding hype. So what would you guys think about potential landing spots for Jamar Chase, if not Detroit?
Yeah, I like Philadelphia there. He could be like that T.Y. Hilton kind of guy, as Sirianni brings over the Colts system.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a good fit for Chase. I think that you should go somewhere where where he's asked to be very productive on day one. And I think that Philadelphia needs a player like Jamar Chase to come in and really stabilize our receiving core and make sure that Rager doesn't have everything on his plate all at once. Yeah, I think that's a good fit.
Interesting thought I had. Despite Joe Burrow playing with Jamar Chase, I think I like Devonta Smith's fit in Cincinnati better.
I see it for sure.
I think that's a guy that's really gonna thrive with Joe Burrow there.
And then one more thing that I wanted to ask you guys about too is how do you compare Jamar Chase to last year's LSU product at wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, who of course had a lot of success this year with the Minnesota Vikings? Do you think that Jamar Chase can replicate that? Is that a reasonable expectation? Do you assume, especially if you like Jamar Chase as a prospect than you did Justin Jefferson last year, like myself?
Yeah, I like personally I like Chase more than I did Jefferson, but they're completely different players who are going to go into completely different roles, so it's really hard to project stats. But I do think that he can succeed day one in the NFL. It just really depends on the situation. It's really hard to project stats.
Yeah, I think that if you would have put the two side by side in 2019, I'm pretty sure even the most hardcore Justin Jefferson fans would have said that Jamar Chase is a better prospect. And so, but I mean, like, obviously, Jefferson has really taken off. And this is part of the reason why draft evaluation is part art rather than science. Just because you never know which guys are going to blossom in the perfect situation for them. I think that Jamar Chase is going to be really, really good wherever he goes. I don't think it's a reasonable to ask him to be a top 15 wide receiver the way that Jefferson was this year. But I think he'll definitely be really, really good. And I think that he'll end up having a similar career arc to Jefferson.
Nice. So with that being said, do you guys have any other final thoughts that you'd like to add? It sounds like Sam is probably out for tonight, so Keelan, we'll start with you. If there's anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you want to add?
Not really, no.
Daniel?
I think we covered it all.
Sweet. So yeah, definitely really excited to see where Jamar Chase goes. Also very interested in his athletic measurables because we didn't really talk a whole heck of a lot about his athletic ability, which was other than his rack, which was actually pretty fun to watch. You definitely got to see some of that burst and athleticism in that speed. So if there's a combine or anything resembling a combine or pro days this year, that should be fun to watch moving forward as well. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, learned a thing or two along the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this over the course of the next coming days, weeks, and months ahead as we move forward and towards the 2021 NFL Draft. For now, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe and peace out.